Fluff also comforted Huang, saying, "Go back and rest well. Don't dwell on what happened. Don't let this little accident ruin our holiday. Everything's okay now." Les smiled, and then they all went back to their rooms to rest. In the evening, Fluff and her husband chatted a bit more about the close call. They were both relieved that nothing serious had happened and had been quite frightened themselves. So they went to bed early. The next morning, the four of them met up and went to a famous local shopping center. It was clear that Le was in much better spirits than the day before. Fluff felt a bit relieved, but she noticed that Huang seemed quieter and less talkative than before. He didn't say much during their walk. They spent some time browsing the shopping center and had lunch at a restaurant inside. During the meal, Fluff went to the restroom. When she came out, she found her husband waiting for her outside. As soon as he saw her, he waved her over, signaling that he had something to say. Fluff walked over, and her husband pulled her aside to the wall and said very mysteriously, "I have something to tell you." Fluff was puzzled and asked, "What's up?" Her husband said, "Honey, don't you think Les seems fine? But Huang is acting a bit off today." Fluff replied, "What do you mean? What's wrong? I've been chatting with Le the whole time and didn't notice anything strange. I do think Huang seems a bit down today." Her husband shook his head and said, "It's not that. Today, I don't think it's unusually hot, right?" Fluff was confused and pressed him. "What are you trying to say?" Her husband explained, "On our way here, I noticed that Huang seems to be sweating a lot, so much that his t-shirt is completely soaked. And that's not all. He's been drinking water non-stop. I roughly counted, and by the time we had lunch, he had already drank 7 or 8 bottles of mineral water. I asked him if he was feeling unwell, and he just said he was fine." Fluff thought it was a bit odd, but said, "Well, drinking a lot of water isn't that big of a deal, is it?" Her husband replied, "Maybe I'm overthinking it, but the way he's drinking water is quite alarming, like someone who has been stranded in the desert for days and suddenly sees water. There's something about his expression that I can't quite put my finger on, but it just seems off. Keep an eye on him when we get back." Fluff nodded in agreement. The couple returned to the table without mentioning anything. However, as soon as they got back, Fluff saw Huang drinking mineral water again, squeezing the bottle so hard it was deformed. Fluff was taken aback by how aggressively he was drinking, as if he wanted to gulp down the entire bottle in one go. At that moment, Le asked her boyfriend, "What's wrong with you? Why are you drinking so much water and sweating so much? Are you feeling unwell?" She then took out a tissue to wipe the sweat from Huang's face. After finishing his drink, Huang bent down and gently placed the empty bottle beside his foot. "I'm fine, just a bit thirsty. I'm okay, really." Fluff observed Huang, feeling a bit puzzled, but thinking that it was probably just a reaction to the scare from the day before, and that his bodily functions might be a bit out of whack. She figured it wasn't a big deal to drink a lot of water. After the meal, the four of them prepared to return to the hotel to freshen up before heading out to see the elephant show in the evening. On the way back, Fluff kept an eye on Huang, who continued to drink water. Every time they passed a convenience store, he would buy 2 bottles of water, and he was constantly sweating his clothes damp. But apart from that, there didn't seem to be any other issues. In the evening, they had planned to see the elephant show, but when they inquired, they found out that there was no elephant show that night. Only a ladyboy performance was scheduled. The 2 girls thought it would be interesting, so they convinced everyone to go see the ladyboy show instead. When they met up, Fluff noticed that Huang was carrying a large bag of mineral water. She exchanged a glance with her husband, and both of them felt a bit uncomfortable. but neither said anything. When they arrived at the show venue, Fluff deliberately took Le to the restroom and asked, "Is Huang feeling unwell? Why do I see him drinking so much water and sweating so much?" "Haven't you asked him?" Le replied. "I've asked him several times, but he didn't mention feeling unwell. He said that sweating makes him feel more comfortable and that he's just very thirsty. I told him that if he still feels this way tomorrow, we'll head back to Beijing early and take him to the hospital." Fluff said, "Let me know if there's anything I can do to help." Len nodded, and then they went to watch the Ladyboy performance together. After the show, they didn't linger. Many people who had come to watch the performance were eager to take photos with the performers, but they didn't have the heart for it and quickly left the venue to head back to the hotel. On the way back, the atmosphere in the car was very quiet. The only sound was Huang continuously drinking water. Once they got back to the hotel, everyone went to their respective rooms. As soon as they entered their room, Fluff's husband quickly closed the door and took her hand, saying, "There's definitely something wrong with Huang." This statement made Fluff very nervous. She looked at her husband, who realized he had overreacted and frightened her. He quickly let go of her hand and said, "When you two went to the restroom, Huang dropped a few bottles of mineral water. I picked them up for him. When I handed them to him, I took a glance at his face and was startled. His eyes had no luster at all, as if they were fake painted on eyes. No, even fake eyes wouldn't look like that, completely devoid of any shine, like black holes." Fluff listened and felt scared. "Don't scare yourself like that. Maybe it was just the dim lighting. Was it just your imagination?" Her husband replied, "No, the lights were still on, and even in dim light, human eyes should reflect some light. Huang's eyes had none. That's definitely not normal." When he thanked me, his voice sounded like he had water in his throat, and he's been drinking so much water, but hasn't been to the restroom. If he's sweating it all out, that's just strange. The more I think about it, the more abnormal it seems. After hearing her husband's words, Fluff felt a bit anxious. "So, do you think Lem might be in danger?" "Honey, let's go check on them." The couple went to the door of Lai and Huang's room. Fluff took a deep breath and knocked on the door. Knock, knock. There was no response. She knocked again, still no answer. Fluff started to panic and began pounding on the door. Le, are you there?" After a few knocks, they heard footsteps from inside, and then the door opened. It was Le wearing a bathrobe with wet hair. She had just taken a shower and saw Fluff and her husband outside. "Oh, you guys are here. I was in the shower when I heard someone knocking. What's up?" Fluff felt a bit embarrassed and said, "Nothing serious. We just wanted to check on Huang. We're worried he might not be feeling well." Blair replied. "Huang said he was tired when he got back and just lay down. I told him to take a shower first because he was sweating so much, but he said he'd shower later after he woke up. He let me go first and he's asleep now. There's nothing else to worry about." Fluff said, "All right, then we'll head back. Let me know if there's any wrong." Len nodded and then closed the door. Fluff and her husband went back to their room to rest. Fluff didn't sleep well that night, constantly worried that her phone would buzz with bad news. As soon as it got light the next day, Fluff quickly sent a WeChat message to Le to inquire. Soon after, Le sent a voice message back saying, "Everything's fine, come on over." Hearing Le's voice, which sounded normal, Fluff felt relieved that there was probably no issue. After getting ready, Fluff and her husband headed to the restaurant. As soon as they stepped out, they noticed it was raining, but the rain wasn't heavy, and the restaurant wasn't far away. The couple ran over in the rain. When they entered the restaurant, they saw Lai and Huang already eating. It seemed they had also come through the rain as they were both damp. Fluff took a good look at Huang. At that moment, Huang wasn't drinking water. He was eating a fried egg. Upon seeing Fluff and her husband arrive, Le quickly beckoned them over. Come sit here, she said. Once they were seated and started eating, Fluff tentatively asked again Huang, "How are you feeling? Everything's okay from yesterday, right?" Huang replied indifferently, "I'm fine. Yesterday, I just felt a bit anxious and very thirsty. I'm much better today." Fluff glanced at her husband, and neither of them said anything further. Le chimed in from the side. "By the way, we've decided to head back early. We've already booked our flight for tomorrow evening because we felt a bit uneasy staying here. It's better to go back sooner and feel more at ease." Hearing this, Fluff let out a sigh of relief and said to her husband, "Honey, let's see if we can get tickets for tomorrow evening too. Let's go back as well. We've pretty much done everything we wanted to do here." Her husband agreed. "Sure, I'll check the flight information when we get back." They continued to check casually while having breakfast. According to their previous plans, they hadn't seen the elephant show, so they were thinking about going together. Fluff asked Le, "Are you guys still planning to see the elephant show?" Le replied, "Sure, no problem. We still have some time." However, upon hearing this, Huang shook his head and said, "I don't want to go to the animal show. The trainers are so harsh with the elephants, forcing them to perform. I think it's cruel." Le felt a bit awkward because she didn't want to upset Fluff and quickly tried to smooth things over. "You're making it sound too serious. Even if we don't go, others will. It's just business for them, right?" Despite this, Huang insisted he didn't want to go and mentioned that he had wanted to go snorkeling at Emperor Island again before they left. But the rain today meant that snorkeling was out of the question. Fluff was taken aback when she heard this. "Go snorkeling again? Weren't you already scared last time?" She immediately realized her mistake and covered her mouth. Feeling very embarrassed, Huang smiled and said, "It's okay and it's all in the past now." After such a close call, we're bound to have good fortune. Once we go back, we won't have the chance again. In the end, Fluff and her husband along with Le decided to go see the elephant show, while Huang stayed behind at the hotel to rest. The three of them enjoyed the show very much. In the afternoon, as they were returning to the hotel, it started raining heavily again. By the time they got back to the hotel, the rain had let up a bit. They didn't have umbrellas, so they ran from the car to their rooms. On the way back, Fluff saw someone sitting on a lounge chair by the pool, not under any shelter, just sitting in the rain. Upon closer inspection, she realized it was Huang. Le called out, "Hey, what are you doing out here?" Huang heard their voices and saw them approaching. "I was waiting for you guys. I figured you'd be back around this time," he said.